Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature. You know what? I like dwarves. Always have, probably always will. But one thing that has always plagued me since I first discovered Warhammer Fantasy many moons ago, and to a lesser extent even the old, D&D and tabletop RPGs, was the fact that for as high-tech as most dwarves were supposed to be, I just never felt like most of the time that really came through in a lot of the models that we saw. And so with the advent of 3D printing and a lot of new companies coming onto the scene, I gotta say, I've really enjoyed like Conquest's big Dweghom guys and all of their various iterations and style, along with this good old stalwart mantic dwarf. I don't know where that came from. But again, for as high-tech and as crazy as the Dweghom can be, and there's some pretty wild-looking kind of cybernetic, like the Flame Berserker type guys and all their automatons they've got, it still doesn't hit that high-tech aspect that I always have been looking for. And, obviously, if we wanted to go like the route of the squats and the Voltan or whatever they're called in 40K, I mean, they kind of accomplish what I want, but now it's a little too high-tech or a little too low-tech if I really wanted to go, like the Forge Fathers or something. I always thought they were a little bit more along the lines of what I wanted. But then Stationforge started to unveil their fantasy dwarves, which were the Ironvale. And I don't think I've ever focused on these guys particularly, but man, oh man, as soon as I saw them, I knew I had to print some. Now, technically, yeah, he is a fantasy figure, but there is enough latitude that can be given probably that you might be able to just pull it off as a sci-fi figure. I mean, and that's kind of what I liked about these guys. And for the most part, they seemed like they were pretty modular in how they went together, and I actually have quite a few here. You can see they do actually fit on those 20mm bases, just barely. They are quite big and bulky, and I'll be honest, that's what really caught my eye for them. Now, when you get them in, scale with some of the other stuff out there, you can see that, yeah, there might be some issues if you were to mix and match guys. Obviously, they're bigger than the squats, bigger than the mantic stuff, mannequins, or, actually they're pretty much on par with some of the Dweghom figures from Conquest. But I kept looking at these guys, and much like, the Adam Driver memes of him screaming more from the Star Wars movies, that was my feeling with dwarves. I needed more dwarf. And I got to give the Dweghom credit. I have him half painted at the moment, so he's not here. But the Living Ancestor and the Lost and Found guys were a pretty nice step in the right direction for big, ridiculously sized dwarves. In fact, I found one here. But then, to me, that was like too big, and these guys are just mishappen mutants that have just gone too far off the deep end. I'm like, I need my big, giant, fat dwarves to be a little bit more reeled in, a little bit more believable, if you will. And so, Stationforge has put out a couple of other Ironvale sets, and I mean, obviously, I think the intent is pretty obvious and, a little on the point for what they're supposed to be stand-ins for, and I'll let you figure that out if you can't. I don't know what to say, but again, to me, they weren't big enough. And so recently, and I mean really recently, like days before this video came up, they released a new set of Ironvale, and they were called, and what an apt name, the Bulkguard. And so let's grab some Bulkguard. And good golly, Miss Molly, do they have some serious bulk on them. Look at the girth of this model. He is just absolutely rotund in that suit, and I am here for it. Now, I did print quite a few, but I ran into a bit of an issue. The arms that are carrying the big honking guns, I don't seem to have printed the correct bodies for, which is an issue. And if I did, then I haven't figured that out yet, which one is which. printed 3 different big honkin' guns, and none of the bodies that I printed seem to want to take those. So that is a bit of a disappointment. But regardless of that, I have another of the regular Ironvale guys here. I mean, you can see there's a substantial difference, even with the bulk here. I mean, I almost feel like the Dwegholm are going to get dwarfed. Pun intended. But honestly, no, these guys are pretty cool. The single arms, in this case, I thought were a lot more better at working with just about any of the bodies. And I mean, let's face it, you could use these for just about anything. I think you can probably have enough plausible deniability to hand wave away that they're actually technically fantasy figures. They look sci-fi enough. I mean, honestly, the first thing I thought of was, I'm going to totally put these guys with like my OPR. Oh God, I don't remember what the dwarves are called now. This is what happens when you spend day after day for years on end looking at miniatures and talking about them. You can't recall the names of things. Anyway, OPR had a bunch of dwarves that were really nice. And I've painted quite a few, and I have quite a few that still need paint. But I thought these guys would actually look pretty cool. This was probably my favorite one, just due to the fact that he was the only one with a full, obvious face mask. But again, I can't tell which arms are for which. And it's a shame, because if they'd had modular heads, every single one of them would have had this head. In fact, that's an issue I had, much like the Overlords from GW, that obviously these guys are supposed to be a stand-in for. I can never tell if they were supposed to be an actual face, or if it was like an ornamental faceplate, what the deal was there. And I can't tell on these guys either. I really, truly can't. I am a bit annoyed, as I said, about the fact that I've got extra arms and bodies that don't necessarily want to wear them. I also have a very temperamental printer at the moment. I recently replaced my computer, and in the process of getting all of the new files reinstalled that I used to use, I am finding all kinds of fun hiccups in trying to get things going again. So if you've noticed a bit of lack in the realm of typical tabletop miniatures on this channel, that's probably the #1 reason at this point. Then I just have not had much interest in picking up a paintbrush until I saw these guys. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to play around with the different bodies that I do have access to, but I mean, they are big models. In fact, I almost want to go and see if I can upscale them some, which is probably really unnecessary, but I can't help myself. Like putting them with a Marine here. Sadly, I don't have any GW dwarves handy. I did look around, and I didn't seem to be able to track any down at the moment. You know what? Scratch all that. I decided to go out on a limb and go take a look in some other spots in the house, because why would anything be in a convenient location, right? And actually did dig up some other models. Leave the cool guy posed here. Funny thing, I actually broke off that horn there on the right-hand side of him as soon as I set him down after removing those supports. That was annoying. I did find one of my OPR dwarves. I do like that paint scheme that I used, and I might just do the same on these guys. And I know that they did have some bulkier suits, kind of like the exo armors, so I'm imagining I might use it for something like that. A couple other random things here. I have an Avatars of War Engineer. Again, just so you can get a good idea of the size. As well as a Titanforge Barbarian Dwarf. So despite the fact that these are both 3D printed on the sides there, you can see I don't like to play with the sizes necessarily, but more importantly, for those of you who I felt really guilty, I needed to grab. Look at that. If you wanted to use them for like some kind of an Iron Ancestor or some kind of Stone Guardian or something, I mean, obviously they are really, really dwarfed. by our bulk guard here. Even with a more recent plastic sculpt. He's so heavy he can't even stand up. You can see that there's a good deal more just volume to this figure. So if you're like me and you need big, bulky dwarves, absolutely go take a look at Stationforge. They have 2 separate tribes and Patreons. I'm assuming I haven't used Patreon in a while, to be honest. I gotta mess with the one that I have set up for this channel and don't do enough with anyways. But they have 2 different campaigns, or I don't know, monthly setups. I'm not good with words at the moment, it seems. Wow. I can't even edit that out. But anyway, so Stationforge proper is like their sci-fi release. These guys were actually part of Stationforge Legacy, which is the fantasy side of things, despite the fact that they are just coming to town with all sorts of firearms and big bulky suits of armor. Yeah, they're supposed to be fantasy, quote unquote. But anyways, do take a look at their stuff because they have a lot of fun models as it is. I don't feature their stuff enough on this channel, but let me just say quite handily that we are constantly printing their stuff. Haven't painted a lot lately, but printing, you best believe it. Not only do they have these, but I should probably show off some of their recent kind of one-shot, non-modular troops that they've done for various warbands / kill teams as well. But I'm just getting ahead of myself, so I'm going to stop right there. Check out the links below, and hopefully you guys are going to find some big fat dwarves to your liking as well. So with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!